Football's deep connection to African identity, culture, and community took center stage at the National Museum of African Art as part of the Stars, Stripes, and Stadiums America's 250th and FIFA 2026 celebration in the United States of America. Held on Saturday, July 18, 2026, the event brought together football enthusiasts, cultural leaders, journalists, and members of the African diaspora for an evening dedicated to celebrating the global influence of the beautiful game called football by Africans and soccer by Americans. Organized in collaboration with the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage, the program featured a moderated panel discussion, cultural activities, and a Sounds of Africa concert featuring Sugar Lane and other performers. Football has long been more than a sport across Africa. The game reflects stories of identity, resilience, migration, and pride. The panel that day explored how African football, or as Americans refer to it, soccer, continues to shape global conversations around cultural and representational issues. The discussion featured a distinguished group of voices with unique perspective on sport. Kwabena Ofori, an acclaimed FIFA journalist, shared insights from his work documenting some of football's biggest moments and capturing the passion surrounding the game. The panel was moderated by Vincent McCory, media executive, managing editor at Voice of America, and host of the VOA's flagship program, Straight Talk Africa. Vincent's experience in international journalism helped guide conversations on football, media, and Africa's global influence. Also featured on the panel was Richmond Danso, a PhD holder and a Washington, D.C. based writer covering African football, identity, and the diaspora. Dr. Danso has profiled all 10 African nations that participated in the 2026 FIFA World Cup and brought an academic and cultural perspective to the discussions as a professor of political science at Howard University. Douglas Boateng, another member of the panel, is an elite one-on-one soccer coach who trains NCAA Division 1, Division 2, and NAIA players in the United States of America. Mr. Boateng's work has seen him volunteer coaching with the Stafford Community Soccer Fitness Academy in the United States, where he mentors West African veterans and young players across Stafford, Fredericksburg, and Prince William County, all respectively in Virginia.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Vincent. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Gavoni. And thanks everyone for being here with us this afternoon. And I'm happy that the introductions have been done, so I don't have to do any introductions. I can just make a little addition that Mr. Kwabena here is also sort of a colleague in a way. He's worked with Voice of America, reporting for our sports program. So we've kind of interacted professionally elsewhere. So we're really happy to have him with us, and we look forward to looking at some of the amazing photos that he has taken. You will be looking at some of his works right on the big screen here, and he'll tell us a bit about them, and I will have a few questions for him. And so without further ado, let's get down to business. One of the questions that we want to ask you is, of all the legendary African players you photographed who have since retired, those who've retired, which single frame best captures who they are off the pitch?
Well, I will first mention Nigerian players like J.J. Okocha, because, they were the pioneers. Initially, we had enough Africans making their way to World Cups till they raised it to 3 slots. So 3 slots. Nigeria was the first African team to be at the 1994 World Cup, which was staged in the United States. So as a photographer following the African teams, I was the first person to be with them. Then I covered those pictures for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So which of them do you kind of feel that when you think of their picture, the picture you took of them off the pitch really represents, who they are?
Yeah.
Is there any specific one who stands out, like one or two?
It's very difficult for me to say because a lot, it's full of excitement and everybody was playing his part.
Yes.
Like I mentioned, J.J. Okocha, I think he was the star of the 94 World Cup.
Yeah.
And then the late Yakini, because I remember when he scored the goal against Bulgaria or something like that. You see? Yeah, just crying, holding the net, then screaming and all that thing. See? It was so super,
Yeah.
But there were a lot of them.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can't mention they all play a role.
Yes,
in
you've been
my
around
pictures.
for a while, so obviously you've taken so many pictures.
Yeah.
But think about the sideline axis and then the relationship between the photographer, that's you, and the African players. How has that changed from the first time you covered or you captured the World Cup up to today?
Yeah, there are a lot of changes because now when you compare the modern photographers, those upcoming guys in the photography covering the World Cup and the African Cup of Nations, you see there's a lot of differences. They are using digital cameras and it's easy for them. But our time, it wasn't like that. It was very, very difficult. So you have to rely on analog and then you need, in most of those days, some of the games are played during night time, you see, and you have to find a speed film. And it wasn't easy because to get a speed film, when I'm here, it's not a problem. But when I'm in Africa, it's difficult to buy speed films. Yeah. So when I say speed film, with a range of 800, 400 to capture good pictures at night. Yeah. So it wasn't easy.
Sometimes people say when such developments happen, something is lost.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's anything at all that was lost by embracing the new technology that has made it easier to take photos the way you've just described?
Yeah, the new technology is very good. It's helping a lot of people. You can focus. You can say, okay, I'm going to focus on this player. So you can get it easier. Yeah. Unlike our time, you have to do aperture, you have to focal length and all these things. You have to measure. You see, the least mistake, you don't get anything. Yeah.
So I suppose we can say that is an area where it was all gaining rather than losing anything.
That's it.
In terms of, actually a quick question on that. When you think about how some photos and pictures are captured by a photographer, can you think about a picture that you wanted to really capture that you didn't get it the way you wanted to?
Yeah. The picture I couldn't capture was the one I mentioned, the late Yakini. Yeah. I was following the team from Foxborough where they were playing some group pictures, But I couldn't travel all the way to East Coast. I'd forgotten the name when they played Bulgaria in the group game.
Yeah.
You see, but I was able to capture them when they played this team, Italy and all those things. Yeah, but I couldn't capture that specific photo I mentioned. I was holding the net and crying, and it was a fantastic goal too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it.
So that's you've also taken shots of African fans across the decades over the years. How does the visual language of the fan culture, when you think about how people behave, what they hold, what they play and come with to the stadiums, how does it differ in your photos way back in 1988, for example, to now this time when you look at the fans of the game?
Yeah, there is a lot of difference, until Vuvuzela came in, The Vuvuzela play a major role in African football. They brought it to the World Cups because people thought they were making noise, but it was part of the atmosphere. It brings a good ambience, and then everything was okay. And then coloring, using a color, drawing themselves, showing that look with African colors and their attire, their dressing. The first time I saw Nigerian dressed in African way with a pot on his head and then supporting his team was so marvelous, So all these things are still there, but you can't compare it to those days, Yeah.
When you're taking pictures at the stadium or whatever the venue you were at, how did you kind of sometimes make a judgment call between capturing the player and something happening in the audience?
Well, you have to be smart, when you capture, because attention is right on the pitch, you see. But what I do is, before the pitch, I will focus also in the stands, because I know something can happen, you see. So I always think about both, you see, because something will happen, I have to capture it and get back to the pitch. Yeah. So
that might actually make the headlines.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's always that famous the medicine person, the medicine man or woman of the team. How critical is that in the photographer's world?
That's something I don't want to talk about.
Superstitious?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it real? I mean, were you concerned anyway if you're taking shots of these fellows, and does it concern you in terms of their belief system, or is it just for fun?
Just for fun, just for the media, and just for anything, because I don't believe in that one, you see. Yeah. But it's a style, their style, so it's up to them to go ahead and do it.
Right. All right. And now we not neglect the two gentlemen on the other end introduced earlier, Dr. Richard Danso and also Douglas Boateng. They're both great soccer enthusiasts. They're also very involved, as you heard from the introduction. Dr. Danso actually profiled the teams that qualified for the World Cup that have been playing here in America and Canada and Mexico, African teams. And the gentleman on the far end, Mr. Boateng Douglas, is a soccer coach, to say the least, and also a former player. So they will share with us a few things before we end this session. And I wanted to start with Richmond. I call you Richard. You did profile the teams that qualified to play the World Cup. As you were going through the process, I'm curious to know, what did you notice, or if you did at all, the difference between the teams that played, let's say the previous World Cup, the last World Cup, and the ones that played this World Cup? It could be in terms of the countries that qualified, the team makeup, or just perhaps anything that may kind of give us some insights into what has happened in between the last World Cup and this World Cup.
Thank you. I think the biggest obvious ones is the number of teams that have qualified from Africa, right? So if you want to go back to when the World Cup started in 1930, no African country was then Uruguay, right? Then 34, Egypt was the first African country to qualify, right? So with time, then we did not qualify again, maybe 30 to 40 years period before Morocco qualified, and the first African country to do that was Congo DR, right? So if you are looking at it from that perspective, obviously the numbers now very great in terms of like having 10 African countries participating in the World Cup. That is phenomenal. So from that perspective, great. But also I'll talk about it from the team composition itself, right? So this particular World Cup has a lot of diasporan influence in the team. So if you look at the Moroccan team, maybe 98% of the starting 11 were born outside of Morocco. That is huge. If you look at the Cape Verdean team, it is also made up of diasporan players. So from that side, we see the differences. In terms of tactical play, the level of play of African soccer has greatly improved. I mean, we might have arguments about the number of countries that progress into the quarterfinals or the semifinals. But if you look at the level of play and the competition they are able to give to opposition, that's greatly improved. So as these are the things that I noticed, tactically also we had a lot of non-European coaches coaching African countries. So in the past, it has almost always been European countries leading the four when it comes to African teams. But you have African countries now producing their own coaches, understanding the African mentality and the technicalities and bring it out to bear. So that is just some of the big highlights that I pick up from writing the articles. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Douglas, I wanted you to chime in on the aspect of just the game itself, the quality of the game. He's talked about the game has really improved. But you are a player and also you're a trainer. You're a coach, so you kind of watch the game from a totally different perspective than I would. So first, share with us how exhilarating, how frustrating was it watching the African teams play as a person who knows what happens on the pitch, but also somebody who has the knowledge in terms of the training of a soccer player?
Thank you. First off, Mr. Kwabena, very amazing work over the years, capturing soccer, memory, football for not just Africans, but for the whole world. We really appreciate your work. If everyone will give it back, give him one more time. Thank you. And to your question, he made mention of, for most of the African countries having, how did you put it? We had a lot of folks who are actually not born in Africa, the diasporan influence, representing the various countries. And I think that is something that really stood out to me. If you look at Cape Verde, for example, which became the darling for most people here of this tournament, it's amazing how, from my perspective, they did as well as they did because of possibly the way they grew up in the game, from how they trained, and most likely the systems that they kind of came up through. From a player's perspective, there are some teams that are expected to do better than others that didn't. And he made mention of it. The game has really improved from the way Africans used to play. Right now, it's not just physicality. It's not just coming and being physical. It's also, understanding the game from your opponent's perspective, and then also the confidence. If you look at the Moroccan team, for example, and even Egypt. As we found, I picked Morocco to be top 4, and unfortunately they did not make it. So individually the players really came to play, and then also as a team they, depending on the formation and the tactics, how they came to play. I think, this was one of the best World Cups in my lifetime so far.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, there's a lot of improvements, not just the fact that we had 10 teams represent, or 10 countries represent, but I think they all came to, go as far as they could.
Yeah, and you could see. Stadiums.
Yeah.
So do you have any memory of a legend, an African legend, a soccer player who was at the stadium and you captured his picture, and what did you see? What kind of portrayal in terms of the emotion that you can you share with us?
Yeah, one I can talk about is Tony Yeboah and then Abedi Pele. They were at the Germany 206, and they were looking at their players fumbling with the first game I talk about right now. So they were not happy, you know. So emotionally, they were very sad. They didn't get any belief that they are going to move forward. You see, that's
Yeah, it can be painful.
yes.
And so we tell us about a photo, just one photo of an African player you took that the world didn't see. It happens to many photographers. You take this photo, you wish people saw it, but they never got to see it. Do you have any memories of such?
Well, I have memories, but I can say it's not an African. Zidane of France during the last 2006 World Cup, you know, when he was shown the red card, I managed to get him just sleep, weeping, say, in the dressing room.
No.
So that was very sad. If you see the photo, you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, he was so sad. No, he was so sad, and it affected the whole team too.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Now, when you look at your archives of those retired soccer stars, what do you notice about African football's style? Can you say about the identity that today's players have inherited from those older soccer players?
For that one, I can see there is no difference, no, because these players, they have their lifestyle. They have their lifestyle. I mean, I don't want to talk about it. They're gorgeous, living, and then flash cars and all these things. It's been there for a long time. They don't change.
How about when you see the way they conduct themselves on the pitch and the field? Do you see a lot of similarities in, say, how the Abedi Peles behaved, or Kocha back then, and then you see younger players? Do you see kind of them taking from the past players and kind of displaying the same characteristic, the same swag, the same kind of style on the pitch?
Yeah, I could have advised them if they would take my advice, no, not to. But you know, it's up to them.
Yeah, sure.
They make their choices, then they move around.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, we always end with trying to go back. So imagine you were covering your very first World Cup. What kind of advice would you give for photographing African teams? What would you, based on your experience, say one would do better?
Well, my advice to young guys who are covering these World Cups is just to stay focused, right? Stay focused, choose the right position. Because position counts if you want to capture good photos. If you don't position yourself well, it will be a problem for you. And then you have to face the team you are covering. If you behind the teams you are covering, you won't get anything. So for me, my secret is I stand at the corner end because I'm using long lens. You see, by that time there was no long lens available for the African photographers. So you sit out there, you can capture everything.
Is there anything you think you wished you had done better in the way you captured the pictures of those, especially soccer legends of Africa?
Well, I think I've done enough.
You've done enough.
Yes,
There's
I've done
nothing
enough.
you missed. You didn't miss any show. Thank you. Now, is there anything that you think I should have asked you that I have not asked you that you'd like to share with us today about your journey as a photographer, and especially as a photographer of soccer?
Yeah, the only thing I can just tell the audience is it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. That time I moved to Ghana, my country, and I was from London when I relocated to Ghana to document all these things. Yeah, and it wasn't easy because traveling from Ghana to maybe World Cup in Germany, World Cup in America, you have to budget for yourself. Then I did all these things, you see. So my only advice is when you want to get into this business as a freelance, you have to prepare well. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing with us your photos and also sharing with us your experience over the years. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is Kwabena Ofori, one of the greatest photographers that we've produced in Africa. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.